Hey guys, Ty Lord here with a movie pickups video, and I want to share a package I got from Retro Tiburon himself from the Retro Wave podcast. Go check out his YouTube channel, Retro Tiburon, and check out his podcast website, the Retro Wave podcast. I'm going to show a package he sent to me. He sends me these packages, seems like every week now, and I'm running out of room. I think he's just doing it to troll me, because you should see some of the stuff in here. I'm just kidding. No, thanks, Mario. There is a lot of good stuff in here. But I'll start off with the not so good stuff, like VHS tapes. No, just kidding. VHS tapes are cool, but he sent me this one. I haven't seen this. Burt Reynolds and Liza Minnelli in Rent-A-Cop action suspense movie from the 80s. I don't think I've seen it. If I have, I do not remember it. Directed by Jeremy London. About Burt Reynolds, a cop that a drug bust goes wrong and his partner's killed, and Liza Minnelli's like a prostitute or something that gets caught up with the whole thing, and they blame him for the detective's death, and they think he ran away with the $2 million or something. That's all from what I read on here. Burt Reynolds, I'm a fan of the mustached actors. And then Crocodile 2 here, another one I haven't seen, directed by Gary Jones. I don't know if this is a sequel to the Tobe Hooper Crocodile. I'm thinking it might be. I don't even know who's in here. I don't recognize any. Oh, Martin Kove is in it. Maybe that's why he sent it to me. That guy's in a lot of things, just like. Oh, okay. Here's another one without a cover. And I didn't do any research on this. It's called The Ugly. Anyone know anything about The Ugly? It doesn't have the case, so I don't know what that is. But I'm really happy to have it. Yeah. And then on to some video games, I reckon. I'll take any Xbox game anyone sends me. He sent me Nightcaster. I already had this one though, so I might find a home for this one. It sounds like a action RPG spellcasting type game. Xbox exclusive by Microsoft. I haven't played it yet. I've been meaning to play this, but I haven't gotten around to it. Another Xbox game that I didn't have, the Bible game. Didn't have this one, so I'll add it to my collection. The little girls could use some Bible trivia. I think they always miss church. But I don't know. I've never been into these party trivia games, but last I tried, I did pretty good at Bible trivia when I did one on the internet, just from like remembering my days back in Sunday school. Well, I don't know. This is from Crave Games. Too bad there's not like a cool Bible game, like an RPG adventure type thing set in a biblical story. Or I mean, I guess those wisdom tree games on NES kind of were going for that. Oh, speaking of more Bible stuff, here's Bible Man. I don't know if he's just sending this to troll me. Great for kids 5 to 93. Probably like a faith-based superhero type show. I don't know anything about this. Lead us not into temptation. Fantastic message. I don't know. Maybe I'll show the girls this. I'm sure it's fantastic. And then on to some DVDs. Yeah, I think this is it right here. Yeah. Okay, so he sent me a copy, and I'm glad to have this because for some reason I don't have this on DVD. He sent me Jean-Claude Van Damme in Death Warrant, directed by Darren Safarain. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right. This is one of his best movies. I always liked this movie. My dad and I used to watch this movie all the time. We would watch all the new Van Damme movies when they came out. My dad and I. This is a cool prison movie, cool action prison suspense martial art movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme is fantastic. And the bad guy, the Sandman, played by Patrick Kilpatrick's fantastic. A really great, scary villain. I think Robert Guillaume, the guy that plays Benson's in here. He's like his prison buddy. That guy's a pretty cool actor. Yeah, Cynthia Gibb, the girl in here. I think he gets with her at one point. Really pretty girl. He's kind of like a cop, or his contact for the cops or the FBI or whatever. But really cool movies. Undercover, going into infiltrate this prison system to find this guy, Sandman dude. It's been a while since I've seen that one. And then another one, speaking of martial art movies, speaking of Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mortal Kombat, I guess originally was supposed to, Johnny Cage, they wanted Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they wanted Brandon Lee as Liu Kang. That would have been a fantastic cast. Like, can you imagine like how freaking hype that would have been if it would have been Johnny Cage, Van Damme, Brandon Lee, Liu Kang. But I think it carries itself on its own without them. I like the cast in here. Mortal Kombat, directed by Paul Anderson, that did the Resident Evils. Probably one of my favorite video game movies right here. Mortal Kombat really captures the vibe of Mortal Kombat. Not so much the gore because it's PG-13. But to me, I always liked Mortal Kombat, not so much for the gore, but the aesthetic of it. It kind of was like heavy on the martial arts, and it's sort of mysticism or mystic martial arts. And it had the whole go to the tournament, and the guy who runs the tournament on an island. You go and you fight different martial artists on an island. So it kind of takes me back to Enter the Dragon. And you see they all had all kinds of old movie martial art references in there. Like there's ninjas, like different colored ninjas, like American Ninja, and there was a Kano had like the Terminator eye, and there was a Jean-Claude Van Damme looking character with the red sash and the bicycle pants or shorts. Cool. Yeah, I like the cast in here as it is. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa as Shang Tsung is like probably the best Shang Tsung you could get. Robin Shou, this guy, perfect as Liu Kang. I used to see him, I think he used to be in like Hong Kong movies. I remember I saw him in a Cynthia Rothrock movie. And then Talicia Soto's in here as Princess Kitana, who's fantastically gorgeous from License to Kill. And that Lyndon Ashby guy is pretty good as Johnny Cage. So cool cast there. Oh, another guy that was originally supposed to be in this was Steve James from American Ninja. Was going to be Jax. That black guy from American Ninja 1, 2, and 3 was going to be Jax. That would have been freaking perfect casting right there. But unfortunately, I think he died of like pancreatic cancer. And then unfortunately, the guy that played Jax in this, that had a small role, I think he died too, which is unfortunate. So never think about doing Jax. The second one's really kooky and corny. Like everyone hates on this, but I enjoy it. Just more of the same goofiness. Kind of reminds me of like a live action He-Man or Masters of the Universe. It's so freaking goofy. I like what's his name's as Shao Kahn. Brian, what's his name? From Cobra. Can't believe I forgot his name. Brian Thompson. And Talicia Soto's back. I actually like James. I liked Christopher Lambert as Raiden in this. I actually like James Remar as Raiden. I like him from The Warriors and Jean-Claude Van Damme's The Quest. He's in a lot of movies I like. That one's directed not by Anderson, John Leonetti. Sitting here trying to say nice stuff about this crap he sent me. No, just kidding. And then he sent me a couple Blu-rays, which was nice. The Spider trilogy, the Spiders triple feature. I don't know anything about those, but it's cool to have all of them on one little package here. Spider movies. They look like kind of modern movies. They're probably total garbage, straight to Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know. From New Image, maybe they're good. Spiders 1, Spiders 2, and Spiders 3D. Don't know anything about them. If anyone knows about those, let me know. And I see Richard Mole is in one of them. Anyway, and then the last movie he sent me. Oh, actually, no, there's one more movie that he sent me. Oh, don't tell me oh, that was the whole reason. I'll get to that one after this. It's another DVD. He sent me Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke, and I had not seen this since I was a kid, and I probably got bored with it when I was a kid and didn't watch the whole thing. He sent me this, and I didn't really know why. I know it's a good movie, fantastic masterpiece of a movie. I just watched it last night. Directed by Stuart Rosenberg from 1967. Gorgeous, gorgeous movie. Fantastically made. Like, this is like the peak of movie making right here. 1967. Paul Newman's an inmate. He's like in this like chain gang that are doing like ditch work, and they stay at this little prison or this little compound out in the middle of nowhere. But Luke's character is really interesting. He's like this he gets sent to prison. He was like in the military and he killed people, but he got out and he was just going around chopping the tops off of parking meters, and he gets sent to prison. But he's just like a non-conformist type of guy, I guess the movie describes it. And he just does not play by anyone's rules, even in prison. He doesn't play by the rules of the inmates. He doesn't play the rules of the foreman or the warden or whatever they are. Just goes by his own rules. If someone tells him he can't do something, he tries to do it, and he'll die trying to do it, even if he can't. But I guess he sent me this because Stone Cold Steve Austin always mentions it in his podcast. And I know Stone Cold Steve Austin's a big movie nerd. And so I'm assuming after seeing this, he probably based a lot of his like non-conformist character, Stone Cold Steve Austin, on this guy, Cool Hand Luke. Always trying to stick it to the man or in some way or the other. He has some really funny escape scenes, kind of a slow burn movie, but really interesting characters. George Kennedy's his big buddy in this. Probably his best performance ever. George Kennedy. I always think of him as the cuddly big guy that's Leslie Nielsen's partner in The Naked Gun, but this is like in his prime right here. He used to be like in Gunsmoke and stuff before this, but speaking of him, and this is packed full of a big cast of actors you would recognize later on, like their careers got bigger after this. Like Dennis Hopper's in here. I noticed a lot of James Bond movie actors in here. I saw 2 James Bond villains in here, Joe Don Baker and Anthony Zabary, or is that his name? The guy that plays Milton Crest on License to Kill. And then I saw a couple of Bond allies. I saw, is his name Clifton James, that plays J.W. Pepper in The Man with the Golden Gun and Live and Let Die. He's in here. And Joe Don Baker, of course, who also played a Bond ally. So I noticed a lot of actors in here. Oh, Harry Dean Stanton's in here. Who else? It's hard to recognize some of these people. The music's by Lalo Schifrin that did Enter the Dragon. For great music in here. Really, really good movie. Like, probably not for everyone. Kind of a slow burn movie, but just like the following the life of this guy in prison, and all the weird stuff he does, where he puts himself through just because he won't conform. But really great movie. Tough, honest film with backbone, says Roger Ebert. I agree with that. So it was really cool to have this on Blu-ray. Last movie he sent me, starring Ashley McLemore and Ravon Yosef. My Boo, directed by Erica Hayes. And I don't know, I think he was just trolling me, trying to get me to watch this thing. He wrote a little note about it saying how bad it was and how I have to watch it. And the joke's on me. He's saying this is the worst piece of so-and-so ever. Terribly acted and all that. I watched it, and it's not really my type of movie, but I didn't think the acting was bad, and it's just like not really a subject matter I'm interested in. Okay, so it's about this girl, I forget her name, the main girl right here, really pretty girl, like a college girl or whatever, right out of high school. She's living in the city with her roommate. I remember her roommate's name is Strawberry. Her roommate's name is Strawberry. This girl's like a good girl, always trying to do the right thing and be a good girl, and her roommate's kind of wild and boy crazy, to say the least. Anyway, this girl has a boyfriend she's off and on with, but I guess they've been together since high school, her and her boyfriend. And then some kid moves in. He lives in the apartment near her. I think his name is Fred, and he somehow sneaks into her apartment and sets up these cameras all over her room, and he can go back to his room, and via his computer he can watch her take a shower and sleep and undress. He's obsessed with this girl. Like, he knew her from high school, but she doesn't remember him. He's kind of a nerd. He hates jocks, and her boyfriend's a jock. But he starts trying to wiggle his way into her life. Like, he keeps meeting up with her, and they kind of become friends. And her roommate doesn't like him. She thinks he's a total dork. And she'd probably even rather see her with her regular boyfriend, even though they don't really get along. Just typical stuff like that. And it's not really that bad of a movie, just really low budget, almost amateur looking, but not really that bad. It's kind of starts building up. This creepy guy's stalking her, and they kind of become friends, and you think she's going to leave her boyfriend, but then her boyfriend comes back, and then that's when the movie starts rolling, and it starts getting scary, and this guy goes nuts, Fred, the nerd guy. And then something happens that totally ruins this movie to make it as bad as everyone says. Something happens right about that point. I don't want to give it away, because you got to go experience it for yourself like I did. I had to suffer through it. But something does happen to make this movie is pretty bad. Something happens. How long is this movie? Anyway, something happens right when the movie's about to pick up, and then you're like, what the heck is this? That's all I'm going to say about that. So thanks again, Mario, for all of that great stuff. It was all worth it for Cool Hand Luke, though. Excellent stuff. And then before I get to anything else, I want to share this movie I watched on my Most Wanted 10 action movies set here from the Dollar Tree. A movie on here was recommended to me from Physical Media Mac over at the DVD's Nuts and Popcorn channel. Go subscribe to him if you haven't. Usually every time I mention his channel, he loses a few subs. Anyway, but this is packed full of 10 really crappy looking movies. I tried to look them up, but I didn't really see anything that interested me too much with any of these. Maybe I should give them a chance, because the one that PMM did give a chance to, DEADEN, turned out to be quite a unique movie. Like, I would say it should be a cult classic. The thing is, I sent him this thing initially because I wasn't interested, and he got all pissed off that I would send him something like this. And then he watched that DEADEN and did a big review on it and talked about how great it is. Now he's sending another copy back to me to watch, and I put off watching it because I did not want to watch it, but I finally did. And yeah, DEADEN is quite, I would say, a hidden gem of a movie. Probably deserves cult classic status. Strong nudity, strong language, disturbing images and violence. Most definitely, that's an understatement. Okay, DEADEN. After witnessing the brutal murder of his pregnant wife, Rain sets out on a drug-fueled rampage for revenge against the Brotherhood who betrayed him. Aided by every weapon available and his old crime buddy, Rain will stop at nothing to get retribution. I don't know if I could say it any better than that. The beginning scene of this movie, the opening scene, is like the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in any movie. It's very low budget, this movie, but the acting is pretty good, so this is pretty disturbing what happens. I'm not going to repeat any of it. If you want to hear what happens, either go watch PMM's review of it or go buy this and watch it for yourself. But it's really, really disturbing what they do to his pregnant wife in front of him. He's an undercover cop in this biker gang, but somehow like he decides to leave the cops and just stay with this gang. I don't know why. And then he meets this girl, and she becomes his wife, and she's pregnant like 8 months with a baby. But then all of a sudden the biker gang finds out this guy's a cop, so they grab him and they do something to his wife really bad. And then they kill him, or they think they kill him. They throw him in the river, but he's still alive. He wakes up in the hospital, and he steals all of the pain-killing meds at the hospital, and he breaks out. One of like the orderlies or a nurse, he fights with this male nurse, and he power bombs the guy like WWF style. But then after that, it's just revenge from then on out. There's maybe like 5 or 6 guys in this gang, and he takes them out one by one in disgusting fashion, but it's very satisfying after what they did to him and his wife and his unborn baby. Really a crazy movie, like really gross creative kills. And the weird part about it is every time he kills someone, it goes to these like forensic cops that are like taking pictures. There's these 2 guys, and they're always like telling jokes to each other about it's like a weird movie. And then he goes and meets up with his buddy, an old buddy of his that has a gun shop, or he's like a drug dealer or a weapons dealer type guy. And that guy has all kinds of weapons for him at his disposal. But that guy's always just like snorting coke the whole movie. Every time you see him, he's snorting coke. He's getting crazier and crazier as the movie goes on. His buddy, and his beard's all full of white the whole time. It's a really weird movie. But I would say it's kind of raw and gritty and not a bad movie for a low budget thing. DEADEN. Okay, now my pickups. Probably not going to talk much about these because I haven't seen a lot of them. Show my Dollar Tree pickups. I thought this was pretty good. It was at the Dollar Tree. $1.25 bush for a Blu-ray sealed. I thought that was pretty good. This movie, I can't remember if I had it or not, but I did enjoy it, and it was on Blu-ray, so I got that for a Dollar Tree. Survivor with Mia Jovovich and Pierce Brosnan. A big fan of both of them. Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I quite liked on DVD. This had a cool, I thought it was a cool story, kind of corny, just like the 70s movies or the 90s Godzilla movies. Big budget, got good CGI and all that. And it had all of the Godzilla theme songs from the old movies. It has King Ghidorah, however you want to say it, the 3-headed golden dragon. Even Charles Dance is in there. He's like a bad guy. That old guy, I remember him from For Your Eyes Only, but he was the bad guy in The Golden Child and The Last Action Hero. And then a shark movie. I just got it because it's a shark movie, Frenzy. I don't know much about that one. Maybe I'll get around to that next time. Okay, on to my Rasputin's pickups. Speaking of shark movies, Spring Break, Shark Attack. I didn't have that one. That one's going into my collection. I've seen it about 15 years ago when it aired on television. I sort of enjoyed it. It was kind of reminded me of like Piranha 3D, but with sharks, but probably not as gory. Like there's like a frenzy or some carnage at the end during Spring Break. All these kids are going out. You got to worry about your girls, not only about the sharks in the water, but all the terrible young men sharks that like they're drugging the girls' drinks and trying to take advantage of them. And Brian Brown, I think, is in here from FX. I think he's like one of the dads or something. I see. Yeah, Brian Brown is in there. Kathy Baker's in here from a movie. It's really cool. I just watched Killing Affair with Peter Weller. I got to talk about that one. Anyway, you know what? Before I forget, Mario sent me some other stuff too. Speaking of sharks, he sent me the Mad magazine. That's the Jaws themed one from 1976. So it's a very old magazine, and the Cracked one from the 80s featuring sharks, all full of Jaws and shark type humor. This one, most of these Mad magazines had like a comic spoof of whatever movie was on the cover. This one has a comic spoof of Jaws. Pretty funny stuff. I like it. And then the Cracked one, more of the same silliness. I never read these as much, but they're probably equally as funny. This one has a lot of bad shark jokes in it. How do you stop a shark from smelling? Give him a good dose of the right guard. Okay, see, they're sword fighting. Oh my god. All full of bad shark jokes. Great stuff. So thanks again, Mario, for that. Okay. And then a couple of these I spent a few bucks on, but then I'll get to all my dollar ones. Okay, these I spent some money on because I was looking for them. This one I spent $4 on Lorenzo Lamas and CIA codename Alexa, directed by Joseph Merhi, a PM Entertainment movie. I've been looking for this one a long time. Action movie with Lorenzo Lamas and excuse me, and O.J. Simpson. And I see Michael Bailey Smith's in here. That's that big buff guy. You see him a lot in movies. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I love the PM Entertainment stuff. And then here's one I had to get because I just watched Universal Soldier Regeneration and loved the heck out of it. And this one's also directed by John Hyams, Peter Hyams' son. Universal Soldier, Day of Reckoning. And this one's got a cast I love. It's got Van Damme, Lundgren, who's back again after that other movie, and Scott Adkins is like the main star. Really cool. And Andrei Arlovsky's back. Wow. Well, I can't wait to watch this one. I let these things pass me by. That Universal Soldier Regeneration was fantastic. Okay, and I had to spend $6 on this, even though it looks like it's opened and used. But I've been looking for this movie for many years, and I have just not. I don't want to spend the $20 on eBay or whatever it is, but here it is, Silver Streak with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. This is probably my favorite movie with those two as the duo. This is a really fun kind of romantic comedy action movie, but it's really heavy on the action and suspense. The bad guy in here, like these bad guys are on this train and murder someone, and the main bad guy is the guy from The Prisoner, that old British TV show. Patrick McGoohan, he's the bad guy. But it's sort of a buddy movie. Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder meets this Jill Clayburgh, a lovely lady he meets on the train. Kind of romance going on. But the bad guy, well, I forget the plot exactly, is roommate. Yeah, FBI gets involved. There's some murdering criminals on this train, and there's a murder. And Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor are trying to get to the bottom of it. It goes on and off the train. Like sometimes Gene Wilder falls off the train. He's trying to get back on. I thought it was a fun movie. And one of the main henchmen is Richard Kill that played Jaws. And I never knew this. This came out a year before The Spy Who Loved Me. But I always just assumed they were playing off of The Spy Who Loved Me on this movie because he had gold teeth in this. Richard Kill, the henchman in this movie, had gold teeth. So I just assumed they were playing off of the James Bond, like his typecast, like he's a steel-toothed assassin. His character's name was Reese, I think, in this. So I thought they were just playing off of that. But this movie actually came out before The Spy Who Loved Me. So I don't know what the deal is. Did Spy Who Loved Me copy this movie and have Richard Kill have metal teeth? But really weird. And the thing is, I met Richard Kill in real life at a convention several years back. And I was so hyped to meet him. Like, I'm a huge fan of his. I'm like the biggest James Bond fan. And I love those two movies. And I always like dressed up as Jaws when I was a kid. And when I met Richard Kill, I was going to ask him, like, what was the deal with your character in this? He had metal teeth, but then you ended up having metal teeth in The Spy Who Loved Me also. Is that just a coincidence? I was going to ask him that, but once I met him in real life, I was just like all starstruck. I couldn't think of anything to say. I just like took a picture with him. And he died like a week after that, so I never got to ever meet him again, unfortunately. So I don't know. But anyway, and speaking of James Bond, Clifton James is in here again. That was in Cool Hand Luke. That played Sheriff J.W. Pepper and James Bond. He plays like the same type of character in this. So quite a few James Bond connections in this, and it's a cool, fun action comedy movie. Yeah, it's been a while since I've watched that one, so I can't wait to watch that one again. And then the rest of these were $1 or cheaper. I got this, Pamela Anderson Lee in Barbed Wire. I remember I saw this when I was a young man. I probably rented it. I was hyped to see some skin on Pamela Anderson. Back then, the VHS players, when you paused them, it didn't look that great. It was kind of shaky, but I was hyped about this. But I remember this movie being really boring, and I didn't finish it. And I don't remember if I got what I wanted or not out of this movie. So I don't know if I should watch it again and give it another shot. I just remember it was really boring. And then I got another copy of this. I was thinking my girls would like it, Never Ending Story. But like the horsey dies, and that would really break my daughter's heart if she saw that. But I think it's a fun movie. One of my childhood movies right there. Romancing the Stone, Robert Zemeckis movie, cool action comedy movie from the 80s with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, who was in a lot of good stuff around this time. Danny DeVito. Also music by Alan Silvestri that did Back to the Future music. So I was glad to find that for $1. Oh, I found another Pink Panther. This one, Pink Panther, Revenge of the Pink Panther. Oh, this is the one my dad liked. Oh, heck yeah. This is the one where he's battling with like his roommate. They're always like fighting each other to stay on his toes. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I found that one. That's one my dad and I used to watch all the time. Ghost in the Darkness with Michael Douglas. Speaking of, did I have another Michael Douglas? Oh, yeah. Happened to find a couple of Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer, Ghost in the Darkness, horror movie about the the lions in Africa terrorizing the railway or the bridge builders, something or other, killing off people. Really weird lions. I think it's based on a true story or something inspired. Lawnmower Man 1 and 2. It's been a long time since I've seen these. I think they're loosely based on a Stephen King story. Pierce Brosnan's in this one. I think this was before he was James Bond, and I remember seeing this and thinking, man, this guy's got to be James Bond right here. I think it was before James Bond. Why do these things never have the year on them? It drives me nuts. Like, what are they ashamed of? Yeah, Jeff Fahey's the Lawnmower Man. He's like a landscaper or a gardener or something like the guy that mows the lawn, and he's not really sharp, but he gets this virtual reality machine taking a hold of him, and it makes him like the smartest man on the planet, but also brings out his evil. I thought it was an okay movie when I was a kid. Don't know anything about the second one, but I thought for $1, that's a good spend right there. And John Carpenter's Vampires with old James Woods and Daniel Baldwin. And Thomas Ian Griffith is in it. I just remember this was cool. I think it was like in the mid or late 90s this came out. They would shoot the vampires with like a spear gun, and they would pull them outside with a truck and bring them out in the sun, and they would burn up and die. I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, I had to get this Stephen Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin movie, Condemned. I think this is like a manhunt type of movie, so I thought I might like it. I want to start giving Stephen Austin a chance, because I don't think I've seen any of his movies. I was talking to Retro Tiburon about this, like, we like Stone Cold Steve Austin and wrestling and all that, but I think the only movie I've ever seen with him is the Longest Yard and Expendables. Let's see. Okay, here they are. Finish it off with a couple of VHSs. I thought this was probably something to pick up for 50 cents. The Blob from the 80s, the remake, even though it was kind of beat up, but I hear horror movies are sought after. It looks like someone had their way with this, trying to peel off the price tags. But it's actually in there. I thought for 50 cents, I can't go wrong with that. And then Iron Eagle 3 Aces with Lou Gossett Jr. I had to get that one for 50 cents. Directed by John Glenn. And I assume that's the same John Glenn that did all my favorite Bond movies from the 80s. Every single Bond movie in the 80s. Yes. And that's about it. Have a great day.